Hey, dude here. So yesterday we had some fun. Went to the store. We talked about some snacks and cravings, and you guys definitely participated in the comments and had some fun. So it looks like I'm definitely not alone. A lot of people have cravings and pitfalls and things that they deal with. But today I want to talk about something a little bit more serious, and it kind of ties into yesterday's video. There's something I didn't understand until I was older, and it's how lonely we can feel sometimes. I remember when my mom was still alive. She's older, in her final several years, and she moved to the city where I live, and it was nice because I could get to see her. I went out to lunch with her a couple times a week, and back then, I mean, I was probably like in my mid 30s or so, and I was broke. I was still trying to figure it out. And we'd go to lunch, and she would always pay. A lot of times it was just simple, like Costco or something. I'd get a pizza, she'd get a hot dog, whole lunch is under $10. But some people would be like, oh, you're just having your mom pay for lunch all the time. And I was like, no, it was nice and everything, but I really felt like I was just helping her get out of the house, where she could see somebody and get to interact. And she loved to go out and go shopping. And I have a couple sisters in town too, and they were good at stopping by and calling her on the phone and things like that as well. But there were some times when my mom would make a comment, and it may just go totally unseen, but she would mention about how, well, what am I going to do? Just sit around bored all day? I'm just going to rot in this house? Or, she'd mentioned that she felt lonely. And I didn't really grasp that, because at my age then, I was working, I was, raising a family, I was focused, and I just didn't quite grasp that feeling. And then about 8 years ago, my wife decided she wanted to go back to school. And it was very interesting. My wife, when she gets focused, she gets laser focused, and she was studying, getting straight A's. She decided to go back to, first she didn't really know, did a couple years of generals, finished up her main degree, then she went to nursing school, got a bachelor's in nursing. And I'm not saying that she did anything wrong, because my wife's amazing. Like, I'm so proud of her and for everything she's accomplished. But during that time, she was hyper focused on studying. I was always in the library, at home, in the bedroom, studying, at a desk, what have you. And we still had a great relationship and things, but I noticed my youngest son was in high school, and he'd be on the computer doing what a lot of high school kids do, either doing homework or playing video games. And I'd be sitting there watching TV, and I would just feel lonely. And I was like, what is this? This is kind of a foreign feeling to me at the time. And then when she graduated, which again, I was so proud of her for doing so, she got her first job as a nurse, and it was on the night shift at the hospital. And so a day when something like this, she'd get home from work at 7 or 7:30 in the morning. I had to be to work at 8. And it's kind of like, hey, how you doing? High five in the hallway. How was your night? And see you later. And then when I came home at 5 or 5:30 or whatever, she was literally almost on her way out the door for her shift that started at 6. And so then I would make dinner for myself, and I ended up in a habit of watching a lot of TV. And again, the feeling kind of got stronger. I would sit there and I would have this weird, desolate emptiness. I'm not quite exactly sure the word to describe it. And actually, a few years ago, I came across this song by none other than Justin Bieber. And it's called Lonely. And the song's more about himself, but man, listening to him sing it, the words that are in there, it would just spoke right to my heart. That's exactly how I had been feeling during that time. I was feeling isolated. unseen, and alone. And unless you've felt that feeling, I'm not quite sure how to, it's just, it's legit, man. Unless you felt it, I don't know if you'll understand it. I didn't understand it until I actually felt that way. And one of the ways I dealt with that feeling was food. And after a while, I started to realize I wasn't sitting there eating because I was hungry. I was sitting there eating because I was lonely. And that's when, for the first time, I think in my life, I'd ever felt something like that, and then identified it. And I feel like I understood my mom. Like, I understood what it felt like. Sometimes it's because, you know, as we get older, I mean, heck, at her age, you know, all the people that she knows, and a lot of friends are, you know, have died. So you're literally starting to be alone. But it's more than that. It's feeling like, you know, like there's just like life is too little. She would say, well, basically, what do I have to live for? I'm ready to die. And I'm like, I kind of felt that. And it's not like the world is ending type of a feeling or like totally dramatic. It's just a still kind of quiet loneliness. And it wasn't sadness. And it wasn't really, not depression. It was just like you could be in a room full of people and still feel like you're by yourself. And I think that happens sometimes, like I said before, when we get older. And, you know, we don't have as much going on in our life. And sometimes when we're overweight and struggling with the emotional side of that, I think we can feel isolated and unseen. And it hurts. And one thing that I've had to learn is I can't just sit there and stew and marinate in that feeling. I got to get up. I got to do something. I got to have a set of goals. And I got to take action. And I've got to be more present, not just for myself, but for the friends and family and people around that are part of my world. Because I think part of feeling unseen is sometimes realizing that I'm not fully showing up either. I've noticed that I feel a whole lot better when I'm actually engaging, getting off the couch, doing something, participating, and getting out there and being part of life. I think more people feel this than talk about it. And I think that feeling of loneliness sometimes has an odd way of showing up in our life, and we don't really realize it at first. Anyway, if you've ever felt this way, let me know. I'm not the only one. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Dude out. Hey, real quick accountability here. Today was mobility day, so I did my exercises. I didn't film them today, but I did the, you know, the angry bear stretch, and I did the paddle board, and I did the trunk twist, and I practiced sitting in a squat at the park before I did this little walk, and I also hung from the bar for another solid 15 seconds. And for food, I did not make it fasting today. And I kind of blew it. I totally forgot about the sardines I had at work. Woo, put those out of my mind. But I did. I went to Panda Express. All I got was the grilled chicken and vegetables in a bowl. So just had a small portion, chicken and veggies. Tonight, I don't think I have a steak or anything thawed out. So to be real clear, we're going to In-N-Out, and I'm going to get probably 2 or 3 Flying Dutchman, you know, without the buns and all that stuff, and just call it good. And that should satiate me and get me through to tomorrow. So that's it.